I woke up at 5 each morning. The room felt dark and cold. The heater did not work. Cold air came under the door. I put towels near the floor. It still did not help. Kieran slept beside me under 2 coats. He looked soft and sad there. I looked at him and smiled. I loved him with my whole heart. I thought love meant hard days. I thought love meant staying. Our basement apartment was very small. We had 1 low bed. We had 1 old table. We had 2 plates and cups. The window sat near the street. I saw shoes pass above us. At night, I heard cars outside. Water hit the small window. The walls had old wet marks. The floor felt hard and dirty. The light above us shook sometimes. Still, I called it home. We ate instant noodles most nights. I made them in 1 pot. Sometimes I added 1 egg. Most times I added nothing. Kieran said it still tasted good. I smiled because he smiled. He told me he lost everything. He said his business failed fast. He said his family left him. He said they hated weak men. He said they never loved him. His voice broke each time. I held his hand at dinner. His fingers felt warm and clean. My fingers felt dry and sore. I told him he had me. I told him I believed him. He looked down and cried. I thought he was a hurt man. I thought life treated him badly. I thought the world hit him. So I worked harder for us. I did not ask for much. I only wanted him safe. I worked at the diner daily. I wore a red dress there. I carried plates for 10 hours. I smiled at rude people. I smiled at loud people. My boss called me good and fast. My feet hurt before noon. By 2, my toes burned. By 4, my heels hurt badly. By 6, my socks felt wet. Sometimes I saw blood on them. I washed them in the sink. I bought cheap shoes from sales. The soles cracked after 1 month. I put tape on the sides. I pushed paper in 1 heel. I told myself they worked fine. They never worked fine. I came home after dinner rush. My back hurt and shook. Kieran sat on our old couch. He played games on his phone. Blue light shone on his face. He said his mind needed rest. I cooked before I sat down. I boiled water for noodles. I gave him the bigger bowl. He said he needed food. He needed food to think. I said yes and kissed him. He talked about his business plan. He drew boxes on old paper. He wrote names for new apps. He said investors would call soon. I believed every single word. I wanted him to win. Rent came due 1 cold night. My diner check did not cover it. I counted money on the table. I counted it 3 more times. Kieran watched me from the couch. He did not move closer. I asked him about a job. My voice stayed soft and low. I did not want to hurt him. He dropped his phone on the blanket. His face changed very fast. His eyes turned hard. I am trying, Chloe, he said. Do you only care about money? His words hurt my chest. He looked at me with wet eyes. I thought you loved me. Then he turned from me. Shame filled my whole body. I said sorry many times. I told him I loved him. I told him money meant nothing. I said I just felt scared. He let me cry beside him. The next morning, I found work. I took a second job. I cleaned offices at night. I mopped floors in tall buildings. I emptied trash from rich desks. I cleaned mirrors and toilets. My days became long and hard. I woke up at 5. I worked at the diner first. I stood for 10 long hours. I ate old fries sometimes. Then I rode the bus downtown. The office job started at night. I wore gloves with holes. I carried bags bigger than me. I scrubbed coffee stains from carpets. I cleaned rooms with leather chairs. I saw fruit no one ate. Sometimes I took one apple home. I put it in my coat. I saved it for Kieran. He said fruit helped his focus. I nodded and felt proud. I thought I helped his future. I paid the rent each month. I paid for his phone. I paid for his shirts. I paid for his art pens. I paid for his haircuts too. He said looks helped business. I bought my socks in packs. They were thin and gray. I sewed holes with black thread. I washed my uniform by hand. I dried it near the stove. It still smelled like fried food. Kieran said he hated our life. He said he felt like nothing. He said I was his light. I held him when he said that. I forgot my own pain then. I felt needed and good. Some nights, I could not eat. My stomach felt tight and sick. I drank hot water and slept. Kieran asked if I felt fine. I said yes, because he worried. He nodded and played his game. He told me women leave poor men. He said poor men lose respect. I promised I would never leave. I said I was not like them. I said I chose love first. He smiled in a strange way. I did not see it then. I only saw my husband. I only heard his sad stories. I only felt my own duty. I called it love and loyalty. So I worked even harder. Months passed in that cold apartment. My face looked thin in mirrors. My hands looked older than 30. My feet never stopped hurting fully. My knees hurt when I stood. I still kept a smile ready. Kieran stayed home most days. He said work blocked his ideas. He said stress hurt creative men. He needed quiet, food, and time. I gave him all 3 things. I gave him almost everything. One Sunday, I slept late. The room looked gray and still. My body felt heavy and weak. Kieran shook my shoulder at 9. He said he needed clean clothes. He had a call at noon. I got up without a word. I washed his shirt in cold water. My fingers turned red in the sink. He stood behind me and sighed. He said the collar looked old. I said sorry and scrubbed harder. At night, he spoke of our future. He said we would have a house. He said I would stop work. He said I would wear soft shoes. He said I would rest soon. I held those words tightly. I believed him because I loved him. I believed him because I felt tired. A tired heart needs one reason. My reason was Kieran. My reason sat on the couch. My reason ate my bigger bowl. Every day looked the same. I woke up at 5. I worked at the diner. I stood for 10 hours. My feet bled in my shoes. I put tape on them again. I came home and cooked dinner. Kieran smiled when I served him. I smiled back and touched him. I did not know the truth yet. I did not know his real life. I only knew our poor home, and I chose him every day. One rainy night changed my life. I worked a double shift. The diner felt hot and loud. My head felt light and strange. My hands shook around the plates. I told myself to keep going. Customers came in after the storm. They wanted soup, coffee, and pie. I carried tray after tray. My shoes felt wet inside. My socks stuck to my skin. My feet felt open and raw. I had not eaten since morning. I drank water from the tap. My boss told me to sit. I said I felt fine. I lied because rent was near. I needed every dollar. At 10, the room moved around me. I held the counter with one hand. A plate fell from my other hand. It broke near my shoes. A woman shouted for help. Then the floor hit my knees. I heard voices far away. Someone said my name twice. Someone put a coat under me. My boss called for an ambulance. I tried to sit up. My body did not listen. The ambulance took me to hospital. Bright lights hurt my eyes. A nurse asked many questions. I answered with slow words. My mouth felt dry and weak. My chest beat too fast. A doctor came after tests. He looked tired but kind. He said my body had no rest. He said I ate too little. He said I worked too much. He looked at me very seriously. You need rest for 1 week, he said. Your heart needs a break. I stared at his face. 1 week sounded like a joke. I could not miss one shift. I could not lose pay. He told me to listen. He said my heart could stop. His words made me cold. I thought of rent again. I thought of Kieran at home. I thought he would help me. The nurse gave me papers. She told me about the copay. It was $500. I stared at the number. It looked bigger than my whole life. My hands shook around the paper. I called Kieran from the hospital. Rain hit the window hard. My voice broke when he answered. I told him I collapsed. I told him I felt scared. Then I asked for help. Kieran, I need $500. I wiped tears from my face. It is for the hospital. I waited for his soft voice. I waited for love and care. I waited like a fool. He sighed into the phone. The sound was long and cold. Chloe, you know I am broke. His voice had no fear. You have to figure it out. Then he said something worse. Just leave the hospital, he said. We cannot pay that bill. I held the phone tightly. My eyes filled with hot tears. My chest hurt more than before. He did not ask more questions. I said the doctor warned me. I said my heart felt weak. He said doctors always scared people. He said hospitals wanted money. He told me to come home. Then he ended the call. I sat in that hospital bed. My uniform still smelled like grease. My shoes sat under the chair. Tape covered both cracked sides. Blood marked the back of one sock. I felt small and very alone. I signed papers with shaking hands. I left before full care ended. Rain waited outside the doors. I had no money for a cab, so I walked home in rain. Each step made me dizzy. The streetlights looked too bright. Cars splashed water on my legs. My coat felt heavy and wet. I held the wall sometimes. I told myself we were poor. I told myself love was hard. When I reached our basement door, Kieran opened it. He looked annoyed and sleepy. He asked why I took long. I said the walk was hard. He nodded and went back inside. He did not hold me. I made tea with hot water. My hands shook near the stove. Kieran sat under the blanket. He asked if I could cook. I looked at him for 1 second. Then I opened the noodle pack. My body begged for rest, but I still fed him first. I lay down after midnight. My chest felt tight and slow. Kieran slept beside me easily. I stared at the dark ceiling. For 1 week, I worked less. I still went to the diner. I could not afford full rest. I skipped the office job twice. Kieran said we needed money. His voice made me feel guilty. I tried to believe him again. I tried to understand his fear. I told myself he felt shame. I told myself he felt helpless. I told myself poor men acted hard. I lied to protect him. One Saturday, I washed his clothes. We had no washer at home. I took bags to the laundromat. I counted coins before each load. I washed my uniform and his jeans. I wanted to save every cent. I turned his jeans inside out. I checked the pockets like always. My fingers touched something hard. It felt cold and heavy. I pulled it out, slowly. A metal card sat in my hand. It was black and smooth. It looked expensive and strange. I had never seen one. It had Kieran's full name. The letters looked clean and silver. My mouth went dry at once. I read the name again. I knew that name very well. My husband's name sat there. My poor husband had this card. My broke husband had this card. My hands started to shake. I looked in the pocket again. I found a small receipt. It was crumpled but clear. It came from a famous restaurant. I knew rich people went there. I once cleaned its office tower. The total was $2,000. I stared at the number. $2,000 for one lunch. The date was also clear. It was the same hospital day. The same day I begged him. I held the receipt in silence. My body felt cold and sick. My knees almost gave out. I looked down at my shoes. Tape still held them together. Bloodstains sat near one heel. Then I looked at that lunch bill. $2,000 sat on paper. My hospital bill was $500. He told me to walk home. He told me to figure it out. He ate lunch like a king. I sat on the laundromat bench. Machines turned around me loudly. People talked near the door. A child laughed by the seats. But I heard almost nothing. I only heard his voice again. You know I am broke. Just leave the hospital. Do you only care about money? Each line hit me again. Each line became dirty and sharp. I saw my life very clearly. My husband was not poor. My husband was not starving. My husband was not trapped. My husband was not a victim. My husband was a liar, and I lived inside his lie. I put the card back carefully. I folded the receipt into my bag. I finished the laundry in silence. I did not cry there. My tears felt far away. Something hard grew inside me. That night, I watched Kieran eat. He asked why I looked strange. I said I felt tired. He told me to sleep early. He said tomorrow might feel better. I looked at his clean hands. I wanted to scream at him. I wanted to throw the card down, but I did not speak. I needed to know everything. I needed to see the truth. I needed proof with my eyes, so I smiled a little. I washed his bowl after dinner. I folded his clean clothes slowly. I put his jeans on the chair. I left the black card hidden. Then I slept with open eyes. The next morning, I had a plan. Kieran acted normal the next day. He drank coffee at the table. He talked about new ideas. He said success felt close now. He asked for my full trust. I looked at him and nodded. My body still felt weak. My chest still hurt sometimes, but my mind felt sharp. I watched every move he made. I listened to every small word. I waited for his mistake. 3 days later, he dressed early. He wore his best old shirt. He combed his hair with care. He told me he had an event. "It is a free networking event," he said. "I need it for business." He looked nervous, but not poor. I stood near the sink. My hands stayed in dishwater. He smiled like a sweet husband. Then he asked for money. "Can I have $20? "For the bus," he said. His face looked soft again. I dried my hands slowly. I took cash from my bag. It was lunch money for me. I gave it to him. He kissed my cheek and left. I waited until his steps faded. Then I grabbed my coat. My friend Maria had a car. She lent it to me that morning. I told her I needed help. I got in the car fast. I parked near the corner. My heart beat hard and loud. Kieran walked down the block. He did not go to the bus. He turned behind a closed store. I followed him with my eyes. A black car waited there. It was a new Porsche. It shone even under gray sky. A man opened the door for him. Kieran got in like he belonged. I felt the world go quiet. My poor husband rode that car. My broke husband had a driver. My tired hands held the wheel. I started the car and followed. I kept far behind him. He left the poor part of town. He drove past shops and bus stops. He drove past office towers. Then he left the city road. Houses became big and bright. Lawns became wide and perfect. We entered the richest area in the state. I knew it from cleaning work. I cleaned homes near there once. Those people had heated garage floors. Their dogs ate better food than us. I still followed the black car. The Porsche stopped before tall gates. A guard came from a small house. He smiled at Kieran through the window. Then the gates opened slowly. The car drove up a long road. A huge house stood at the end. I parked far from the gate. My hands felt numb on the wheel. I stared at the mansion. It had huge glass windows. Warm light filled every room. People moved inside with glasses. I left the car and walked. I stayed near the dark trees. My cheap shoes sank in wet grass. Tape rubbed my sore heel. I moved closer to the patio. No one saw me there. Through the glass, I saw Kieran. He did not wear old clothes now. He wore a dark velvet suit. It fit his body perfectly. His hair looked clean and styled. He held champagne in one hand. My stomach turned at the sight. He laughed with rich people. They wore jewels and fine clothes. They looked bright, full, and calm. He looked full, too. He looked happy and easy. A tall woman stood beside him. Her silver hair looked perfect. Her dress shone under the lights. I knew her from his stories. This was Camilla, his mother. He said she abandoned him. She touched his arm and laughed. She did not look cruel to him. She looked proud and amused. Kieran leaned close to her. He said something near her ear. They both laughed together. I moved closer to the patio. A window had a small crack. Warm air came out to me. So did their voices. I stood in the dark and listened. My heart felt cold and hard. A man asked about me. He called me the diner wife. People laughed around Kieran. Kieran lifted his glass and smiled. His voice sounded proud and light. Then he spoke about my life. 3 years, Kieran said. She still knows nothing. His friends laughed again. I never spent 1 dime. He tapped his glass with 1 finger. Not 1 dime from my trust fund. My breath stopped in my throat. I held the stone wall hard. Kieran kept talking and smiling. She works 3 jobs for me. He laughed like it was funny. She feeds me every night. A woman asked why he did it. Her voice sounded bored and rich. Kieran gave a small shrug. It started as a test, he said. I wanted real love. He drank more champagne. I wanted a woman without my money. He smiled like a good man. But now it is just fun. People laughed around him again. She is the best free maid. Then he bowed like a joke. I looked at his face inside. I did not cry at all. My sadness left me very fast. Something stronger took its place. I felt deep disgust in my body. It sat in my bones. He watched me starve for years. He watched my feet bleed. He watched me fall at work. He heard me beg for help. He had money every day. He chose to let me suffer. Camilla laughed and drank wine. She did not look shocked. She did not tell him to stop. She looked proud of his game. She raised her glass to him. My skin felt dirty from it. I thought of our cold apartment. I thought of the broken heater. I thought of the noodles. I thought of my hospital walk. I thought of that lunch receipt. I thought of my taped shoes. He called it a test. He called me a maid. He called my love fun. He made my pain a game. He made my work a joke. He used my heart for sport. I stood in the dark grass. Rich laughter came through the glass. My cheap coat felt thin and wet. My feet hurt inside my shoes. But my mind felt calm now. I knew what I must do. I stepped back from the window. No one saw me leave. I walked to Maria's car. I sat inside and breathed slowly. My hands did not shake now. My tears still did not come. On the drive home, I said nothing. The road lights passed my face. The city grew poor again. The streets looked gray and cold. Our apartment waited below the street. But it was not my home now. I unlocked the basement door quietly. Kieran was not there yet. His game controller sat on the couch. His dirty bowl sat on the table. His old lies sat in every corner. I saw them all at once. I packed one small bag first. I took my papers and clothes. I took my work shoes too. I left his things where they sat. I did not break anything. I did not scream his name. Then I pulled out every receipt. Rent receipts filled one old box. Grocery bills filled 2 envelopes. Phone bills sat in a folder. Clothes receipts sat in another bag. I kept everything for 3 years. I spread the papers on the table. I wrote numbers on a pad. Rent, food, phone, clothes, medicine, bus fare, shoes, laundry, heat. Every dollar had a place. Every month had a cost. The total grew and grew. My anger stayed cold and clean. I did not want revenge only. I wanted truth in public light. I wanted him to hear me. I wanted his world to hear. Kieran came home near midnight. He smelled like wine and sweet smoke. He said the event went well. He said he felt hopeful. I looked tired on purpose. I said I felt glad. He did not see the papers. I hid them under the bed. He kissed my forehead like before. His mouth felt false and cold. I let him think he won. I slept on the edge. The next evening, he had a gala. He called it a charity night. He said rich people cared about others. I almost laughed at that line. Instead, I asked no questions. I only waited for night. No one called it fun. His rich world saw him clearly. His game ended in that room. You laughed at my pain. Several guests stepped away from her. One older woman looked at me. Her face changed from shock to anger. "Is this true?" she asked Kieran. He opened his mouth, then closed it. That answer told everyone enough. Phones came out around the room. People took pictures of the papers. A man near the door left fast. Another guest called someone outside. Kieran's clean name broke in one night. I watched it happen with calm eyes. I put the microphone back down. My hands felt light now. My chest felt open and clear. I looked at Kieran one last time. His fake charm was gone. Only fear stood in its place. Then I walked out alone. No one stopped me this time. The night air felt cold, but it did not hurt me. My taped shoes touched the stone steps. I walked away from that house. I did not return to the basement. Maria waited near the road. She opened her car door. I sat beside her, in silence. Then I started to shake. She held my hand very gently. The next months were not easy. Kieran called me many times. I did not answer his calls. I found a lawyer with Maria. I gave her every paper. I told the full truth. The divorce went to court. Kieran tried to act hurt. He tried to call me greedy. He tried to say I knew. But I had receipts and records. I also had the black card proof. His friends did not protect him. Some spoke against him in court. The gala story spread very fast. Rich people hated public shame. Camilla stopped coming to meetings. Kieran sat alone with his lawyers. The judge looked at the papers. She looked at my old hospital bill. She looked at my work records. She listened to my story. Then she looked at Kieran coldly. I will never forget that look. I won a large payment. I also won my freedom. The money did not fix everything. My body still needed care. My heart still needed time, but I could breathe again. 1 year later, my life changed. I opened a small, beautiful cafe. It had warm lights and clean windows. It smelled like bread and coffee. I named it Chloe's Table. I paid every worker fairly. I no longer woke in fear. I wore soft shoes each day. My feet healed little by little. My hands looked stronger now. My face looked like mine again. I ate full meals without guilt. Jude worked as my head chef. He was 35 and quiet. He came early every morning. He worked hard without complaint. He respected every person there. He never made love a test. One morning, he brought me coffee. The cup felt warm in my hands. He smiled and asked about the menu. His voice was simple and kind. He did not play games with me. I liked that more than words. I looked down at my shoes. They were clean and soft. I looked around my cafe. Every table was full of life. I looked at Jude by the counter. Peace filled my chest slowly. Kieran pretended to be poor, but he had money all along. His house was rich and bright. His card could buy anything, but his love was empty. His heart gave nothing real. I built my own safe life. I built it with tired hands. I built it from the truth. I built it after betrayal. Now, my work feeds me too. Now my love starts with respect. So I tell my story now. Did someone play the victim with you? Did someone use your good heart? How did you take power back? Tell me in the comments below. If you love strong women, please like. If you love honest stories, please subscribe. This is Teddy English Stories. Thank you for hearing Chloe's story. See you next time.